Take the Foundling to the city of Caladan on the forest planet of Corvus. There you will find Ahsoka Tano. Tell her you were sent by Bo-Katan.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my new Mandalorian Season 2 Ahsoka Tano video. That's right, we finally get Ahsoka Tano in live action. So we'll break it all down. There's a bunch of Easter eggs. I'll explain what she's been doing this whole time. There's a big missing gap of time that they have to explain during the Mandalorian Season 2 episodes of what she's been doing. We'll do a giveaway for Disney Plus memberships. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave all your theories about Ahsoka on the video. Big spoiler warning for everything that's happened on The Mandalorian so far if you haven't seen any of the episodes and you just happen to be watching this video. But I'll number these as we go along and talk about Easter eggs, starting with number 10. At the end of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 3, Bo-Katan, played by Katee Sackhoff, tells The Mandalorian he can find Ahsoka Tano on the city of Caladan on the forest planet of Corvus. I mentioned in my full Season 2, Episode 3 Easter egg video that Corvus is actually an Easter egg for Iden Versio's Inferno Squad. The ship that they used was called Corvus. And I didn't learn until after the episode had aired, but the actress who plays Iden Versio, Janina Gavankar, she actually had a special secret cameo during The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 3, but it wasn't as Iden Versio. She guest starred as that Mon Calamari in the docks who fixed the Mandalorian ship, if you can believe it. It's sort of like Mark Hamill showing up and cameoing as the EV-99 droid. You just don't know it's them unless they tell you. But Bo-Katan doesn't really explain anything about what's been going on with Ahsoka for the past 10 years. Forget everything that happened after the Clone Wars Order 66, the events of the original trilogy. We'll have to find that out from Ahsoka herself when we meet her in a future episode. And for those of you that are expecting to see her in Episode 4, just a big reminder that Carl Weathers actually directed Episode 4, Dave Filoni wrote and directed Episode 5. So don't be surprised if in Episode 4, we only get maybe like a tag scene at the end, like a post-credit scene with Ahsoka, and we don't get the full Ahsoka episode until Episode 5. It just makes sense that Dave Filoni helped create the Ahsoka character. She's so precious to him and George Lucas, who also helped create the character, that he would direct the episode where she appears in live action for the first time. In fun fact too, when Katee Sackhoff's Bo-Katan says her name, Ahsoka Tano, that's the first time her name has been said in any live-action Star Wars story, movie, or TV series. There have actually been attempts to do Ahsoka in live-action before. Dave Filoni revealed that at one time they thought about officially retconning Attack of the Clones so that this little girl would have been Ahsoka. But he said the reason why they didn't do that is because the little girl is way too young to be Ahsoka because of the way the timeline works out. You have to remember that Attack of the Clones is happening right before the Clone Wars because that begins right at the end of that movie, and Ahsoka was 14 during the Clone Wars Season 1. This little girl looks like she's maybe 8 years old, so way too young to be Ahsoka. But there are a couple big missing gaps of time where we don't know exactly what Ahsoka was doing. So between the events of Star Wars Rebels, Sabine giving Bo-Katan the Darksaber, them reuniting with Ahsoka after the Clone Wars, Ezra Bridger saving her from the Sith Temple using the Star Wars version of time travel. That's right, there is time travel in Star Wars. It's called the World Between Worlds. It works a little bit like the quantum realm in the Marvel movies, like Avengers Endgame and Ant-Man and the Wasp. They use this space between spaces, this extra-dimensional realm of pure force energy, to travel through space and time. But what you have is that right at the end of Star Wars Rebels, you have her going back into one of the portals and then disappearing for the events of the original trilogy. We know what some of the characters from this episode from Rebels were doing during the original trilogy. Ahsoka was basically on a Jedi walkabout during that period. Then she shows up right after Return of the Jedi in the Battle of Jakku to go with Sabine into the unknown regions to find Ezra Bridger. So there's about 6 or 7 missing years of Ahsoka's life where she's traveling around the galaxy. We don't know exactly what she's doing. Sabine was actually very active with the rebellion during that period, and obviously we know that Bo-Katan was leading the Mandalorians, and then they have the Great Purge, and then she became a pirate basically with the Night Owls, just raiding all the Imperial ships, and then eventually Moff Gideon's ships after the Empire fell. So really only Sabine and Bo-Katan were close by when all of this stuff in the original trilogy with Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine was happening. What happened right before Ahsoka disappeared is that Ezra saves her from the Sith Temple as she's fighting with Darth Vader. Then Emperor Palpatine sensed them peeping him through the world between worlds, and he tried to kill them, enter, and take control of the Nexus. They both wound up escaping, but the portal that Ahsoka escaped through took her to a different point in time at this Sith temple. So she goes back to the same place, but it's just at some point after her fight with Darth Vader. then all that Dave Filoni has said about her during the events of the original trilogy is that she basically, like I said, went on Jedi walkabout to commune with the Force and seek her own path, kind of what happened to Obi-Wan after he went to Tatooine and dropped Luke off with the Lars. We'll learn a little bit more about that during the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. He didn't just sip tea until Luke became a teenager and he handed him Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. He did have some adventures. That's what they're going to cover during the Obi-Wan series. They're going to be filming that early next year. It'll premiere in 2022. But it was also during that period where Qui-Gon appeared to him and taught him how to become a Force spirit. That's why he was able to become one when he died. There's a lot of rules about who can become Force spirits. Sith can't do it. The reason why Anakin Skywalker was able to do it, even though he never formally learned how to do it, is because beings that are very powerful in the Force or very connected to the Force can also become Force spirits. That's sort of the cheat workaround rule. Normal Jedi like Yoda or Obi-Wan have to learn the technique before they can actually turn into Force spirits. Anakin was the chosen one, so he's just kind of a special case. So during the events of the original trilogy, when Ahsoka is on walkabout around the Outer Rim territories, you have to assume she's doing something similar like this too, just deepening her bond with the Force. The events of The Mandalorian Season 2, right now where we are, take place about 6 years after Return of the Jedi. The scene of her taking off into the unknown regions with Sabine is about 1 year after Return of the Jedi. So there's another missing couple of years when she's flying around with Sabine all over this area of space. There are virtually no hyperspace lanes or official maps or recorded data on the unknown regions. That's why they're called the unknown regions. But assuming that Bo-Katan and the Night Owls have been raiding Imperial ships and then Moff Gideon ships for a while now, and it sounds like from her speech as she says Ahsoka has been around for a little while too. So that means within the last couple of years she's come back from the Outer Rim. So it's possible that she found where Ezra was. I'll talk about those Rebels characters again in a second too, because there's all this talk of doing spin-off Mandalorian series on Disney+. So there's just a lot of recent story from the last 10 years that they have to cover from Ahsoka, like what were the adventures she was having during the events of the original trilogy, and what did she find when she was in the unknown regions up to the last couple of years. Rosario Dawson is going to be playing her. We don't know exactly what she's going to look like, but I think a lot of this fan art is pretty close. Ahsoka's meant to be in her early 40s when this is all happening, so Rosario Dawson is about the right age to play her. Just in terms of how much Ahsoka will be in Season 2, like how many episodes, I think it's a Boba Fett situation where she's really important to the story of Season 2 and critical, but she's only in a couple episodes with the idea that she could come back in future seasons in an even bigger way. There were also a lot of rumors that they were developing an Ahsoka Disney Plus spin-off series, and they would do some more of the Star Wars Rebels characters like Sabine, Ezra, maybe even Grand Admiral Thrawn on that. The CEO of Disney, as well as Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, have all talked about them creating this new interconnected group of Disney Plus shows that follow different characters and stories, but they're all loosely connected with this overarching story. So it's sort of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but with Star Wars Disney Plus series. So for instance, you have all the Bo-Katan Night Owl story talking about retaking Mandalore, the Darksaber, reclaiming her throne, and naming herself the new Mandalore. You could do a lot of that on a separate series, but obviously you still have Moff Gideon, who's a Mandalorian character, so they share a lot of story elements between those two series. And then you have all the Ahsoka stuff that we're going to learn about during Season 2. And Ahsoka is such a big character, it would be weird if she only showed up a couple times during The Mandalorian and then you never saw her again in any other live-action productions. But there were also rumors that she could potentially show up and cameo on the other series that are taking place at other points in the timeline while she was still alive. So Rosario Dawson, for instance, could show up on the Obi-Wan series briefly because she was alive during that period. But if you didn't watch all the Clone Wars episodes, that's really where most of her history is covered. So what happened was she started out as Anakin's Padawan, but before she formally finished her training and became a Jedi Knight, she was framed for a crime she didn't commit. The Jedi Council at the time refused to believe she was innocent and threw her under the bus. It caused her to lose all faith in the Jedi, so she left the Order. But if you remember me doing videos for the Clone Wars Season 7 episodes earlier this year, during that they tell the story of what Ahsoka did while she was on her own and how she came back to help Bo-Katan with the Mandalorians retake Mandalore from Darth Maul and the Shadow Collective crime syndicate. That's how Bo-Katan came to respect her so much and why she speaks of her so highly when she's explaining Ahsoka to the Mandalorian. Then right after this is happening here, her burying all her comrades, she goes to hiding in the Outer Rim territories to ground, having minor adventures for a while. She and Anakin Skywalker, who had become Darth Vader by this point, start to have visions of each other. Then they have a rematch a couple years later during the events of Star Wars Rebels in the Sith Temple. And for those of you asking if Ahsoka ever met or knew Luke Skywalker or Leia, Anakin's children, she'd never actually met them in person, but Luke eventually later in his life found out who she was and learned about her connection to Anakin Skywalker. Now, because Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are writing a lot of new story for Ahsoka, just creating this, weaving it into the canon, it's possible that they retcon some elements, and she could always have some story where she does cross paths with Luke Skywalker in the future. My full Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 4 video will post on Friday just like normal, but before that I will do more bonus videos for Bo-Katan, Moff Gideon, the Darksaber, and the Mandalorians. There's so much to talk about after Episode 3. They just revealed so many big details. Everyone leave all your video requests in the comments below if you have any specific questions you want me to address in a video. Congratulations Lucas Cheong, you're the giveaway winner from my last big Star Wars video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Everyone click here for my full Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 3 video, and click here for my Mandalorian Season 2 Luke Skywalker video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. This is the way.